Okay. 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 So let's see here. Yeah, that's seems pretty good. Okay. So this will just be basically the idea here is to just spend like 5 minutes every day doing like a little bit of work. And the overall, I mean, this is not meant to like be a fitness regimen or to replace anything. It's just meant as an augmentation, and it's not going to get you in shape. But it will like. The idea is it's just going to increase the level of comfort in your life. So within a day or two of adopting this practice, which is a very easy practice, 5 minutes, you should be able to tangibly point to discomforts that you are used to experiencing, and you should be able to point to their absence. Not all of them, but there'll be marked differences almost immediately, and that's kind of a bold claim, but I've yet to see it not come true. So I'm pretty confident with it. So yeah, there's going to be I think 3, maybe 4 postures. Some of them have 2 sides. I'm going to do them in order of importance. First one is quite difficult in terms of it's not like it to be really flexible. It's that it generates a lot of sensation in your quads. Really strong sensation that most people would call pain, and probably I remember when I started doing it that I definitely called it pain. It's sort of opened up a little bit now, but anyways, we'll just get into it. So the first one, what you want to do is get like a blanket or something. Just got like a little one. You want to be pretty thin. It's just you're gonna have your knee planted into the ground. You don't need the blanket, but it makes it more comfortable. Bring it right up to the wall. And then you're gonna take your knees, okay? And you're gonna wedge both your knees into the corner here. And it's very important that they're right in there. So you have to be very detailed here. You cannot, like if you physically can't do it, then whatever. But you want to have it there. So you're working towards that if it's not there. But I think everyone should be able to put their knees there. So I'm gonna do it like this. So I'm coming up to the wall. And I've got my knees about hip width apart, and like you have the tops of your foot against the wall behind you. And like, so ideally you have like almost your whole leg and foot flush against the wall. And like, I can't quite do that. And if your feet are quite a bit away, that's fine. It's not really about how deep into a posture you can get. It's really just about lining it up so that whatever your expression of it is lined up properly. Even if it's, you're not very deep in, at least you're making good lines. So you've got your knee up to the wall. Then what you want to do is take one of your legs and kind of bring it down. So it's like this. So you're kind of like propped up on one knee flush into the wall. And then again, very slowly, you're going to take this leg out. And you're going to have it in kind of like a 90 degrees. So this is straight up and down 90 degrees. Okay, so it's a bit of a lunge. Now, I made it look really easy, but like even being like this for most of you is going to be like, it's going to hurt. And that's okay. If you want to make it easier for yourself, you can kind of come lower. For a lot of you, what you're going to want to do is have some like books or something so that you can kind of like go like this, because you're really going to need to steady yourself. And what you're working to do is you're working to come up all the way like this and then straighten. But it's very unlikely any of you will be able to get higher than this. So anyways, let's say this is your expression right here. Get into a place where you can hold it for a little bit. And then I just want you to take 10 breaths. So like a breath is something like you want to try to match that cadence. That's going to take time. Again, all of this is you're sort of watching someone that's fairly well practiced. So, if your movements look different, if your breath sounds different, that's okay. Your 10 breaths, though, should take a minute. Like, you want to hold this posture for a minute, if not longer. If you can't do a minute, that's fine. If you ever have to quit early, it's fine to quit early, so long as you don't quit altogether. So then you're just going to come up and you're going to do the other side. And again, especially if if you're a little bit have strong legs, when you're doing this motion here, you're gonna have a lot of force coming, and if you're you're expecting to be able to kind of go like this, you might throw force in to follow through to that motion. You might hurt yourself. So just coming very slowly when you're doing the legs until you sort of get comfortable and see how this posture looks for you. And then again, you're just finding it maybe of the books, maybe not. And maybe you have a very open body and you're able to come up. And then you're just working to make sure this is 90 and you're doing your breaths. And then you're coming up. So, you've done that. The next thing I want you to do is this one. So what you're going to do is you're going to sit cross-legged, or not cross-legged, you're going to sit like this. And you're going to have your feet together. And then you're going to take your hands like this. So probably you're going to look something like this. And your feet are going to be like right together. But you want to actually eventually splay them out. And then we're bringing this down. But when you're at this point, this is fine. Right? And then what you're going to do is make sure your back is nice and straight. And then again, 10 breaths. And every time you inhale, see I'm kind of rising with the inhale, and then with the exhale, I'm hinging at the back. The things I'm not doing is I'm not like rounding my back to get lower, right? There's a tendency when people do these postures that they see someone, like I can kind of get pretty low, and they see that and they're like, oh, I want to do that. It doesn't really matter. You shouldn't do that, because if you have to curve your back to get there, like this is about as far as I can get with a straight back. So this is really as far as I should be going. So when I go like this, I'm curving my back to do it. I'm not really doing the posture properly. The whole point of the posture is to create a perfect set of straight lines in your body at a certain, in a certain arrangement. And this just increases, communication on a chemical level between cells in the body. And the different postures are just aligned to create, different highways. And so if you're, you have all your legs correct and you round your back, you're kind of making like good highways here and some janky ass roads up here. So just, keep everything straight, be patient, let everything build over time. And we're just going to keep coming down. And so one of the difficulty changes for this one is how far out this is. Like, right, if you put them all the way out here, it's a little bit easier and you can kind of, but if you bring them all the way in here, like even for me, if I bring them all the way to my groin, I can't actually really splay my feet out at all. And that's okay, right? So for me, when I'm working here, this is probably my fullest expression, which is not that deep. And the point being, it's more important to work with where you're at. The work is what will create the results in your body, the results of comfort. The expression of the posture, the depth of the posture is just sort of a byproduct that comes over time. It's cool to be flexible, but that won't actually increase your quality of life. Whereas maintaining this alignment and communication, absolutely will. This is the meat and potatoes of the whole thing. So those are the two postures. The third one that I want is actually, it's a really good one. So maybe I have to move the camera. Not whatever, you're just gonna have to use your imagination a little bit. So you're gonna come up to the wall. Okay, and you're gonna go, and you're gonna place your thighs, your whole torso, everything really close up to it. And then you wanna put your hands on your back with your fingers pointed towards each other, kind of like this. Inhale to rise, and then you're arcing back. Now, some detail points here. Pelvis and thighs need to remain against the wall. This is going to create a lot of extra work. This is where the good work is being done in this posture. So it's essential that your pelvis and thighs remain against the walls. So that might mean that you look like this. And that's totally great, as long as you're keeping your thighs and pelvis against the wall. And eventually, you're coming down and you're trying to hold on to your heels like that. But even like when I'm doing that, my thighs and pelvis come off the wall a little bit. I can push them back, so I'm able to maintain the alignment, but there was a little bit of allowance given in that movement. And you're gonna do that one for 10 breaths too. And maybe I'll demonstrate that. So it's not lazy. But just for 3. So those are kind of the 3 main ones. If you kind of want to do a little more, and especially a lot of you spend a lot of time on the computer, so you've got the neck bullshit going on. So a good thing you can do for that is just sit cross-legged. If you can do this, great. Probably you can't. So cross-legged is fine. And just make sure that you switch because it's 2 sides. But if you can sit like this, go ahead. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take one hand up and over, see? And then this hand to the left, or whatever, and then you're trying to straighten. And so, some of the details for this one is, sorry, it's really hard to talk with this one. So, I'm just going to come out of the posture so I can talk. So, what you want to do on the side that's reaching, you should be able to create, because this is where the stretch is being done. And if you're lining it up perfectly, and you'll have to experiment a bit with this, and it took me probably I'd done this at least 10 times, over 10 different classes. Spread out into the once a week classes, or kind of a detail class, before I could do this. So don't be discouraged if it doesn't pop up right away. But what you want to do is actually, you'll feel a consistent line of sensation all the way to the tip of your middle finger coming up all the way into your neck. And so when you start doing this, you might feel a bit of stretch here and a bit of stretch here. And then what you're working to do over time is to connect those 2 threads. And that's just going to just really stretch out. It's actually the fascial line. It'll feel a little different than this stretch, for example, will feel very hot and warm and kind of like a rumbly burn. This one will be a little bit sharper. And that's how you'll know you're locking into the fascial tissue. You're stretching the fascial tissue. And just for the neck, it's just really great because we got a lot of congestion there in that tissue. So you're going to do both sides. So then if you're sitting this way, coming over, and we're doing the same thing. So with respect to the head on the neck, I'm going to kind of come down. Actually, I'm just going to pop my phone. There we go. Okay. So with the head, I'm coming down. I've got my fingers just kind of, my middle finger is kind of on my earlobe here, but anything like this is good. But what we want to make sure we're doing is this shoulder blade, you can't see it, but I'm drawing it down the back to create space right here. And this isn't a crunching. So the movement that we're trying to do with the neck is kind of like this, kind of a pulling. So this will compress a little bit, but ideally it's sort of arcing as opposed to just hinging. I think there might have been one more. No, that is all of them. So yeah, you do those. Even really just the first week. And if you just do the first one, I have a guy that does that. He's like a cook. Cooking is very hard on the body. Sore all the time. He does that one posture once a day. Not even once a day. He does it once every 2 days. And he's like, oh, my pain is reduced. Not gone, but a minute every 2 days. You get what you put in. Yeah, I'll make another video maybe later about maybe step 2 for people that are so inclined, and talk a little bit more about the theory behind why this works, because it's not very much work for a pretty large reward. It's pretty clever sort of hacking of body systems, I think. Yeah, anyways, I hope this is useful, something to do. 5 minutes a day. I know this video is 15 minutes, but it takes longer to learn something than it takes to do it. So, yeah. Get flexible.